The movie Playdate went straight to Amazon Prime streaming, starring Alan Ritchson and Kevin James. If you like Alan Ritchson as Thad Castle in Blue Mountain State, this character is more of a toned down version of that. I'd say he's about 75-25 of toned down Thad Castle and 25 Reacher. Kevin James plays Brian Jennings, kind of the straight man. This movie I thought was surprisingly fun. I didn't really expect much from it. A nice hour 25 minute movie. It fits straight to streaming. It's not hilarious, but it's amusing. And I will say, once you find out the whole story and the ending, it's surprisingly decently written, but there's some good little setups and payoffs and foreshadowing that very easily slip right by you on a first watch. I wouldn't say cancel your dinner date for it, but if you're just looking for something to throw on, you're in the mood for something lighthearted, this movie is pretty fun, and it leans all the way into just being kind of crazy. It takes itself a little bit seriously in a couple points, really just to get the main themes across, but it's like 90% just goofy, zany, fun time. Very reminiscent of like the 90s comedy. And you get some nice little supporting actor parts from Isla Fisher, who manages to be the hot, crazy chick in everything that I see her in. Alan Tudyk shows up for a bit to be kind of the weird, eccentric guy like he always does, and he's amusing. Stephen Root has a small part. You'd recognize him for not giving him back his stapler in Office Space. And honestly, the movie starts out like kind of normal and then just gets crazier and crazier as it goes on, which I think works pretty well for it. Obviously, with a movie like this, you're getting a lot of plot armor. The action is not the point, but it's fun enough. They try to be goofy with it. My biggest gripe with it actually would be that I think it could have used like 5 more minutes at the end to kind of wrap up the whole point of the movie, which is about fatherhood, which is also always nice to see. Very refreshing to actually see a good stepdad. The bar is always extremely high for Hollywood now after a decade of dog shit. And they make a choice at the end of the movie that I'm not really sure what to make of, but it's played off as kind of a joke and the movie ends. So it is what it is. Let's just get into it. Brian gets laid off. He's the stepdad to Lucas. It's very kind of standard setup here. He's a bit old school. He likes sports. He's kind of a guy's guy. Lucas is like kind of effeminate and weird and into hip hop dancing. And since he gets laid off, his wife, Emily, says, okay, I'll go back to work. Why don't you use the time to kind of figure out what you're going to do? And you and Lucas can get closer to each other. And really the crux of the movie is that Brian struggles with being a stepdad and he feels kind of disconnected from Lucas, sort of like he's not good enough to step into this father role and that he's not really connecting with Lucas the way that he should and just being a good dad in general. Pretty simple message, but I'm fine with it. It's nice to see. I can't remember the last time that I saw a good stepdad in a movie who wasn't just a loser, which even though he loses his job, he's not a loser type character in the movie. So he takes Lucas to the park. They're trying to throw the football around, bond, whatever. And they see Jeff and his kid CJ. And Jeff is acting super weird, very pushy. And CJ is kind of a maniac kid who there's obviously more to than him just being a regular boy. Pretty quickly, Brian figures out that Jeff is full of shit. CJ is not his kid. And you find out that Jeff took CJ from some kind of experimental research facility that he was a security guard at. So they're on the run from the police. The whole thing is pretty ridiculous. There's shenanigans. The kids get into a sugar high. They run into Lucas's bullies and CJ beats him up. And Brian is very frustrated with Jeff for getting him into this. They're seeing Amber Alerts with both of their names on billboards. They've got these crazy private security guards with machine guns after them. And it's never portrayed too seriously. It's pretty fun. And then what you find out as the movie goes on is that CJ is actually a clone of Jeff. So Jeff was abandoned by his father. He got kicked out of the military for not executing a child, essentially. And now he's stuck in this position with a clone who is a child. And he's kind of thrust into this position of whether or not he's going to be a father or a father figure. I don't know what you call it for a clone. No point in getting bogged down in technicalities and naming conventions, I guess. And obviously, throughout the movie, we get a bunch of goofy explosions. They do a really bad interrogation of a guy. You get to see him mess around trying to catfish this guy to lure him out on Tinder or Tinder equivalent. Brian and Jeff become buddies. CJ and Lucas become friends. And the end of the movie is where it gets really wild, but I thought it worked really well for the movie. They end up getting caught by this company. They take CJ away. Brian, Jeff, and Lucas go to get him back because Jeff does view him as his son now. And you find out that CJ has no emotions because he's a clone. And he's pretty much just like Jeff except enhanced and also more intelligent. And at the end of the movie, when they get to this facility, they think they found CJ, and it turns out there's like 100 of them. So they get swarmed by this army of emotionless CJ clones. Obviously, at the end of the day, they come out on top. They leave the facility. They're trying to figure out how to get home. And you're like, what are they going to do about all these clones? And Brian asked that to Jeff, and they blow up the facility, walk away with the explosion behind them in slow motion, and the movie ends, which is like a pretty bizarre way to end the movie, to blow up like 100 clone children. I mean, I guess they are designed to be emotionless killing robots, which is kind of like the goofy thing the movie's going for. But that's also kind of a messed up thing because CJ did develop a connection to Jeff. So I'm not sure what to make of that exactly. And that's the whole movie. There's really nothing crazy about it. No super weird plot twist. Just kind of a fun, ridiculous movie. Alan Ritchson, I think, is really fun in the more comedic, goofy roles that he does. I like him as Reacher, but I think I might enjoy him as a comedic actor more. And to see Kevin James play kind of the straight man, I thought was interesting, but he does well enough. And I'm sure that's a problem that many men can relate to, is what exactly is your role as a stepdad and trying to form that connection with a kid who's halfway to adulthood or whatever the case may be. I thought the kid actors were pretty good too. CJ did a good job of being kind of like a little psychopath, which I thought was funny. Honestly, I wouldn't be surprised at all if they make a sequel to this and they just kind of continue to up the ridiculous shenanigans. There was quite a bit of action, but it doesn't seem like a super expensive movie. Of course, it's Amazon, who spent $1 billion on 2 seasons of Rings of Power, so who knows? But I thought it was worth a watch. If you're bored one night, need something to put on, or if you're just in the mood for a comedy, check it out, throw it on. It's not super violent. The action they try to make amusing with highway chases and having them fight in the fake Chuck E. Cheese, and they get into a big fight with all the clone kids, obviously, which is amusing. It's definitely not the most logical movie ever. When you go all in and say, fuck it, let's just have a lot of fun, I think it works well enough. I'm gonna leave it there for this one. If you've seen it, let me know what you think. Try to respond to the comments that aren't insults, like and subscribe and all that shit. Thanks. See ya.